Here we go. Welcome, everybody. I'm excited to share this. As many of you know that follow me, I don't know if you know my complete story, but I used to kind of live in hell, and I was repeating the same. I had the same issues just keep coming up in my life and relationships because I didn't know how to go in and see the programs that were running. In other words, my ego would react to my wounds, and it would also react to anything that challenged my belief system. So I was an automatic reactor, and I became a judgeaholic because I thought judging and pointing out what was wrong out there was the way to fix it, but I didn't realize how the hologram worked, and it was actually magnetizing and attracting more of everything I judged towards me. And so I'm really happy and honored to have Crystal Richardson come on the call today. She went through the processes in the book, Waking Up in the Dream, and her story is really quite amazing about how she turned it around. And I know that everybody's going to be able to relate to this. And she shared this in our private group, our Waking Up in the Dream Activation and Acceleration Tribe, which I just opened up to anybody that purchases the book. If you want to grab the book, it's on sale for half price right now through Sunday. There's a link in the comments or in the description right there. And this group used to be only for people that graduated from the 4-week course. But I want everybody to have access to this stuff, because to be in a group where there's no judgment and you can get mirrored by me and the other people that have gone through the course and done the work, it's the fast track to being able to begin to see and dismantle these programs that it saves people decades. Everybody that I work with every month that journeys with me, they're like, oh my God, I wish I would have found out about this 30 years ago or 40 or 50 years ago. And this 922 right now, I love it. And this is what will be taught in the newer schools that are coming up. I'm in the process of working on getting a book illustrated for children. If any parents out there, go through this book. It's a simple book. There's not a lot of filler in here, but man, it goes right in to identifying the wounds, seeing how the ego reacts and judges, and then defends. So it's tricky because it's going to make you think that what it's doing is right, but it's the most subtle, devious, tricky program. And once you begin to see it, you go, oh. And then I teach a way to begin to track this and keep score of your judgments and your reactions and your less than thoughts, and how to really go in quickly and heal and forgive. And it's not, you don't have to go through all this dark night of the soul and shadow. They named it that so you won't go there. It's the last place anybody wants to go. Who wants to sign up for the dark night of the soul? Not me. I'll go talk about crystals, and I'll have people do tarot cards and readings for me and psychics and tell me what they think, when all you have to do is walk through this door, and it's your doorway to freedom. And it's so freaking simple if you just step up and go, look, let's do this. I'm willing to look at my stuff, and then get excited, because you can actually really have fun going through this process. And it speeds up everything, because you're not in resistance. You're not like, you know? And so I intend that anybody that watches this or shares this really get some aha moments from Crystal. And I really invite you to invest in this book. You can get this book for less than it would cost you to go to the movies. And then you will be added to this group as a bonus. And you can start asking questions and get mirrored. And I'm in there every day. And so without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Crystal Richardson. And she's just going to share some stuff with you and just wing it. We're just having fun here.
Yeah.
So, thank you for being willing to show up. Like I wish I would have recorded the monthly group call. And for those that don't know, we do a monthly group call on the third Sunday for everybody in the group. And it's usually a 2-hour call, and we go deep. And that's when anybody in the group can come in to this Zoom room and really ask questions and get mirrored. And that's when you can really start to move through stuff. So it's a pretty priceless offer and opportunity. So if any of you are feeling called to do that or to work with me one-on-one, send me a private message and we'll dive into it and see if it's right for you. So Crystal, what's happening? Good evening to you in California.
Morning, right? It's good morning to you.
My morning. I'm in the future. But, yeah. So tell us a little bit about your journey, like where you were, what was going on, what were the reoccurring things in your life, your emotions, whatever.
Absolutely. I like everybody else ended up with a baggage, like a trail of emotional and all sorts of different kinds of baggage, and the majority of it came from an abusive marriage that I was in, and having to deal with that every day for I think total, the relationship was 5 years. And it just, it did a number on me. And, I got to a really, really low point in my life where I was really seriously contemplating whether I wanted to go on or not, just because I had gotten myself into this situation at the time I felt like I couldn't get out of. And so after reaching a bottom point and pulling myself out for my 3 children, I decided, I was going to leave, thinking, once I leave, everything's great, be gone, right? Woohoo. Yeah, well, it wasn't like that, because I took with me a ton of stuff that I didn't realize I had taken with me. And, I started.
When you say stuff, I hate to interrupt you, but when you say stuff, clarify what you mean so people don't.
Yeah, emotional trauma. And if anybody would question my honesty, I would snap. If anybody would question anything, really, I would lose it. I developed this terrible anger issue. So that's what I took with me from the marriage, was horrible anger. And that was because I was mistreated, not trusted. It was all of these things that, was balled into this terrible toxic marriage that once I broke free of it, I took it with me. And so, I got remarried to a wonderful woman who very quickly pointed out that I had an anger problem. And for a long time, I denied it. That was the go-to, denied. No, I don't. It's your problem. No, it's not me. You're angry, not me. And I am grateful she put up with it for as long as she did, because going through your class, I realized that it was me that had the issue, really. And I knew deep down that I did, but I was in denial. And there came a point that I decided I was done carrying this anger around. I was done feeling this way. I was done snapping at people that I loved, who loved me. I didn't want to treat them like that anymore. They didn't deserve it, and so I kind of, like, low key started looking around for like things I could really do to help myself, because I've read forgiveness books. I read Radical Forgiveness by Colin Tipping 3 times because I thought I was missing something in that book. Like, I just couldn't, it just wasn't doing it for me. It wasn't there. And so I was looking for all of these methods and cord cutting, and I did all of it because I was that desperate. And yeah, right. You get to a point where you're just like, I can't take it anymore. I don't want to be like this anymore. And so one day somebody posted one of Jeff's promotional pictures. I believe it was a post for his book, Waking Up in the Dream. And it had this artwork on the front with the heart and the two wings. And I saw that and was like, ooh, I have to follow this guy. He has something I think, that can help me, that can benefit me, because I have that same, well, it's not the exact same, but similar artwork tattooed on my foot. So I thought that that was divine intervention going, hey, you have to follow this guy. And so I did in the background. And I eventually told a friend of mine, Allie, about Jeff. And she also started following. And then not shortly after that, she ended up gifting me the course. And so I took that as another sign that this was something I needed to do. Like this was the path I was going, that I needed to go down. So I joined the course reluctantly, of course. And I think it took about a month.
You weren't excited to come in and dive
I
in
mean,
stuff?
I was, but reluctant, like I'm sure everybody is, because
The ego knows it's like the game's up,
right.
You really have to become, well, you have to look at what you're not sure. You've tried all these things, my
It's
girlfriend
like
and I
pill,
have the same,
bad. And so there's a little bit of apprehension there because of that too. You're thinking, I want to follow this, but at the same time, like you said, you've tried everything. And
yeah,
so a
it's
little
the
bit of,
unknown that's scary.
yeah,
My girlfriend and I had the same 200 spiritual book collection. We had them all. Power
yeah,
Now, Love One, Esther Hicks, The Secret, every single thing. And we would just gobble them up and gobble them up. But, and it all was great information, but we were putting it on top of programs that were running underneath. And the ego would defend and justify, just as you said, no, it's not me, it's you, it's your problem. You always do this. And the ego is so cunningly tricky at that you've just got to be willing to go, have I really looked at my stuff? And that's why I love the process that's in here, because it gets you to track every single judgment. That's not something I was ever taught in any book. I was taught, well, you're supposed to forgive and do this and that. But as you said, you went through Colin's book 3 times. I went through many books over and over and over, and I would listen to this stuff, and I'm like, but I didn't see the underlying automatic reaction programs that were running every time. And it wasn't until I figured out to devise this act or this exercise of getting this clicker and tracking myself all day long and really beginning to feel, what is the frequency of a judgment? What is the frequency of a low vibrational thought? What is the frequency of shame? What is the frequency of I'm not enough, or anger, or hatred, which is like probably the lowest vibrational frequency? And really start to notice what a trigger, which a judgment is a trigger, even the subtle ones, even like, well, I don't like that dress she's wearing. That's an automatic program that's deeply embedded. Instead of just going, wow, I love how people do their own thing. And even if somebody's got a purple mohawk with tattoos on their forehead of skull and crossbones, that if they're emanating heart energy, who cares? I mean, these are things to really watch for. And we can see right now in the external world how these systems are set up to keep people at odds with each other. Republican versus Democrat, religion. Yeah. I mean, the dark controllers set this up perfectly to harvest our energy. So this system of tracking this every day and then writing down your score on the PDF sheet that you get to print out, at the end of the day, you're just like, oh my God, I caught myself 76 times today. And that's 76 times that you would have never caught yourself or even probably really even thought about it. So most people don't really catch a trigger unless there's some real fallout and then they suffer, or somebody's really upset about them, or they sabotage something that was good, or they embarrass themselves, and then they might go, how can I make sure I never do that again? But unless you get in the habit of committing to tracking what a judgment and what a wound or what those things feel like, they're just going to keep repeating, because the automatic program has built up over decades. So that belief in that reactionary system is really freaking strong. So we got to get really playful with this and really lighthearted about it. And, you know, some of your stuff's going to come up. We might need to do some anger release, or, you know, we got to feel the feelings to heal them and clear them. But first and foremost, I'll finish with this. We can't change a program until we can see it. We've got to be able to see it. Otherwise, it's underneath and it's running in stealth mode. And the ego and the automatic program will just keep running it over and over and over. So this is really why I'm so passionate about this, because it's really, really key. So what was it kind of like in the beginning when you first, you know, came into the course and started to like just be open to the possibility of like, okay, I don't know what's going to happen. I've tried everything, but let's see. And thank you, Allie, for gifting her, because maybe you might not have done it, right? I mean,
yeah.
Would you have taken the steps to commit to doing it?
I don't know.
Well, God bless her.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't.
So,
I definitely believe that it was supposed to happen that way, because it fell in line like that. Absolutely.
yeah, everything that shows up as a gift, it's just learning that everything that shows up as a gift, especially the things that are challenging that we don't want to look at, or we want to say, you know, fuck that, you know, or we get angry, that triggers us. Those are the ones where we take a breath, go through the process, and smile, even if we're pissed. Even when I'm pissed, I smile now, because I know that just relaxed my whole body. It stopped the story and the trigger from running, and I go, okay, I can feel that frequency, man. That's a big one. What is this trying to show me? What is this trying to teach me? And that's like the game changer. So for you, can you kind of describe the process, or like,
for
stuff that started to come up, triggers and reoccurring stuff? Or
yeah, definitely. So I think I told you when I first joined your group, I enjoyed your overall message, but I thought the naming of the ego was really silly.
okay.
And yeah, that was the point because I've realized that now, that that's something that you're taught. Like, you don't talk to yourself, you're crazy, right? And that was something that I struggled with because of my clairvoyance, is that, you know, I hear a lot of stuff that isn't going on. And so it was extra like, ooh, she's a Looney Tune, like, to even go down that road. And so your general message was amazing, and I would laugh at the naming of the ego. So at the time, the Karen was trending, and so I named my ego Karen as a joke. And then this incredible woman named Karen joined the group, and you made her my partner and made me eat my foot, right?
That. Wow, cool. So yeah. I think we need to explain the power of this. And do you want to explain it? I could tell him about Larry. Larry's the name of my ego, but
yeah.
So why do we name it? Why do we name it?
She was originally Karen, and then I changed it to her, because that's kind of how I felt about her, you know?
Okay. So the reason why we do this, I named my ego Larry, because we need to be able to see what the ego is doing. And so if we name it, and you could have more than one name, like Larry is the conniver, he's the defender, he's the judger, he's the low frequency guy. But then I've also got another ego I named Lizzie, after Lizzie Borden, the axe murderer. And Lizzie's the spiritual one. She's the one that's done all the work. So she can be really tricky from another perspective.
I love that.
to be able to see these, it really helps us identify the programs that the ego runs. In the ego, we don't want to make it the enemy. You know, a lot of people, and I believe this in the beginning, we need to kill the ego. No, the ego is a part of our system. It's a part of our thought process. It's a part of our how we process information, how we create. And so the ego is not evil. Excuse me. It's just that through many lifetimes, the ego's job was mainly to protect us. So it's not a bad entity. It's just that it's been running the programs that it was taught to run. And it was more of a survival thing. So now the invitation is to just make Larry and Karen and her to become our friend. And then the energy that we're running through them, they can begin to become our friend and go, oh, hey, we just had a thought about something that we know was an automatic. We just had a judgment about something, and we can feel that frequency. And that's when we go through the quick process of going, okay, I just had a judgment. I know that's about me. I know that's about me. And it's really powerful to clarify, if people haven't heard this from me before, is that there's a whole chapter in the book on judgments, because I was a judgeaholic. I grew up in Catholic school from second grade, and it was all judgment. We were getting judged every day. You're going to go to hell if you do that, or if you even look at a woman, or if you say a cuss word. And so they're actually teasing you to like, oh, I'm not supposed to look at a woman. They're like, it's an invitation to do what they say you're not allowed to do. It's really interesting when you really look at it. And then what do they tell you? The only way that you can get into heaven, on what day? Judgment Day. So my whole upbringing in private Catholic schools was judgment, with a little bit of love thrown in way back here. If you're good enough. If you're good enough. What a heavy program that so many people run, trying to be good enough. So making friends with the ego and naming it, it's really, really key. And that's all detailed in the book really clearly. So go ahead. So you had her.
That's right. And this was after I got over the whole, like, this is silly. And so then I decided, like, hey, you're in this class, you really need to buckle down and like do it. So I named my ego, and then I decided that I was going to have a conversation with her. Like you said, have fun. Okay, well, here's this person that has all this stuff to say that I hardly ever let get to talk, right? So let's see what she has to say. And I sat myself down and had a serious conversation and came to realize that the animosity and the anger that I thought I had at my ex-husband for being a complete, expletive was all at me. I was mad at myself because the one little detail, the one fact that I had moved out of the pile of facts was that I knew he was who he was when I married him, and I did it anyway. And that makes me a little bit less of a victim. And this is just my case specifically. I knew he was an abusive person when I married him, and I did it anyway because I was already pregnant. And so there was a lot of pressure there and a lot of animosity towards myself because I had many chances to back out and I didn't take any of them. And so that anger that I had at him for being such a jerk turned out to be anger towards myself for making a terrible decision. And once I figured that out, it was like a weight, like 50 Kevlar vests taken off my chest. And within a matter of months, I had dropped 40 pounds of what I call emotional weight, because I was carrying around all of this emotional baggage and hatred towards a man that I already knew was the way he was. It was, it was fake. All of it was fake. I don't know if I was stuck in a victim mentality or playing the role that they teach you to play as a victim. I'm not quite sure which one it was, but it was one of them. And as soon as I realized what I was that way, it was I automatically could no longer do it. I could no longer do it. Once I recognized it, it was like gone. I can't go there. And coming to that realization created some apologies. I had quite a few people to apologize. My mother, my wife, just to name a couple people that I had to apologize to for, taking out my crap on them. And I'm eternally
That
grateful.
gives me goosebumps because it's so easy.
Yeah.
People come to me with, like, they're at the edge. And within 5 minutes of them telling their story, if you've done this work, you can see what the issue is.
Yeah.
And it's usually about forgiveness to something that they did or something that somebody else did to them in the past. And it's so easy to forgive, but the ego doesn't want to, because it's like when that happened in many cases, it happened during childhood. And it's like, that was traumatic and the child had to shut down and protect itself. It definitely happened to me and most people that I journey with. And the ego just wants to go, no, that wasn't forgivable. And when you look at it as an adult, you're like, that happened 30 years ago. And that's the doorway to your freedom. All you do, and here's the real key that is outlined in the book and the course. It's like, when you can get to the point where you say thank you to everyone for being your teacher, this is huge. If anybody hasn't heard this before and your ego is going, fuck that, I'm not going to thank them for what they stole my, that's the ego. Any lack of forgiveness that one is holding on to is poisoning and lowering your frequency, not the person that did something to you. It's affecting your frequency. And we can't move out of repeating 3D timelines if we're holding on to any judgment, any anger, any upsetness, or any lack of self-worth, anything for ourselves or others, because those don't exist in the higher dimensions. The higher dimensions are operating at a higher frequency. And when I talk about dimensions, they're all here right now. Sometimes I use my hands and I go 5Ds up here. It's everywhere. It's just frequencies. It's not like we get on an elevator, although our heart and our frequency is the elevator that then shifts the timelines that we're attracting into our vibrating hologram that we call our life at all times. It's incredible when you start to play with this on this level. So forgiveness is so key. So I invite anybody, ask yourself this question. Now or later, you close your eyes and go, is there anybody that I need to forgive, including myself? And the memory will pop up. That's the beauty of it. It'll pop up if you still have any energy or residual. And sometimes a memory will pop up and you'll go, no, I love them. I'm grateful. Here's the deal. Whether you want to believe it or not, we have soul contracts with these people. Even if they did the most horrible, horrible thing, that may be hard to believe. And like my teacher, Don Miguel Ruiz, said, don't believe me. Don't believe yourself, but figure it out on your own. And so even I work with people that have been, sexual trauma, rape, abuse, somebody in their family got murdered or something. We don't know. Maybe we did that to somebody else in a previous lifetime, and now we made an agreement so we could clear that karma. So all I can tell you is, if you want to heal and you want to clear and you want to be free, forgive everybody and ask yourself, is there anybody that I still need to forgive? And then thank them. When you can get to the point that you can thank somebody, you've done the work. And you can either make it take a year or 5 years, or you can do it in one session and go, fuck, that really hurt, man. That really hurt. And this is not to ever condone anybody that did anything bad to you or wrong to you. It's not to say it was okay. We're just clearing frequencies here. We're clearing energy and we're healing. And so you have to be willing to go, am I holding anything that's poisoning and lowering my frequency? This is the whole name of the game. This is all there is to it. The rest of this journey is about having fun. This is just rinse and repeat. If I have a judgment or a trigger, I stop, I catch it, I click it, and I just go, okay, there's one. Let me clear this. And that's really it. If you can get to the point of accountability where we can do this in every moment, you're going to clear stuff so quickly. You're not even going to be the same person like in a month or a few months, or, depending on how much energy you put into it. So in your case, you realize that Karen, or her, in the beginning, she was pissed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what was like your process of diving into that?
It really,
Forgiveness, you said, right? Apologizing. I mean, isn't that amazing when you finally do that and the other person accepts it and it just like clears, like you said, you dropped 40 pounds.
yeah, I did.
And we had this conversation before, if I recall correctly, it wasn't by changing your diet, right?
Nope.
This is huge for people to get right here. Thank you so much for being willing to share this, because this is huge. Emotional baggage. Many people that take on weight, it's to protect themselves subconsciously. It's not, in many, many cases, because of their diet.
Oh, I'm a firm believer. I would have, this is what's so all this, Jeff, is my perception of everything is so completely different now that I have a hard time telling the story the way I told you the first time, because it's different now for me. I see it completely differently. And I would have told you 6 months ago that 65% of Americans are overweight because they eat too much. And now I believe that 65% of Americans are overweight because we're constantly fed emotional trauma through the television and through other things like that. And that is why everybody is overweight. Because as soon as I was able to drop that one major thing, I mean, it fell off me. The doctors would have told you it was not healthy because it was 40 pounds in 4 months. I was dropping 10 pounds a month doing nothing. I was home for coronavirus. They joked about everybody gaining weight for coronavirus. I lost 40 pounds.
Bless you. What a great story.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot about this.
It's been a pretty insane journey for me, because as soon as it happened, I mean, everything turned around for me. I've heard and I've seen everybody, this has been a horrible year. This has been terrible. I hate 2020. I've had an incredible year.
I know, me too. It's like, it's a little bit scary. Stuff's coming up. People are flipping out. But this will go down in history
as one of the best years for me.
Awakening year, 2020 vision. I mean, yeah. And so it's all perspective, people.
Yeah.
Like, you can look at it as, I don't like this, or you can look, step back and become the conscious observer. See, here's the thing, and this is really brought out clearly in the book. It's like, you've got to be able to see the automatic reactor in order to dismantle. Once you see it, it starts to dismantle so quickly. And then you'll start to see other people and you'll go, oh, automatic reaction, automatic reaction, even if they're loving, kind people, you'll be able to start to see the programs in other people like that. You'll just go, I used to do that all the time. And then you'll be able to hold space for them too. Instead of judging them, you'll be able to mirror them, and all your relationships will shift in your life like magic. Even if the other person hasn't gone through the journey or used the tools yet, they'll start to shift because your energy and your frequency is different. And anytime energy, you can walk into a room and you can shift the energy of that room just by the frequency that you're holding, and you don't even have to say a word. I'm not kidding, this is true. And I'm not saying this from I'm walking into the room like Jesus. No, but Jesus was about frequency and the frequency of the heart, if he existed. I don't know. I don't want to trigger a lot of people, but I don't know. I didn't meet him, but I definitely love the concept of Christ consciousness, even though I stepped out of all affiliations with any religion because they separate and they get you to put your power in something outside of you, hoping that somebody else is going to do something for you or heal you or, so I hope that doesn't trigger anybody, but it's something to look at. Do not give your power away to somebody else. You are the creator. You were given all the power of the creator. You are truly unlimited. And when I use that word, I really go into this deep in the groups and the conversation because I don't think people really get that word unlimited. I think they go, yeah, we're unlimited creative divine beings. But do you really get that? And this is something to really sit with and even write down that word or write down the sentence. Do I believe that I'm unlimited? Because not only are we unlimited, but here's another cool thing to have fun with and play with. Do you believe and do you play with the fact that not only are we unlimited, but that we are multi-dimensional beings? Now the mind goes, ooh, what the hell does that mean? Because even as I say that, and I know it's true, I can't even wrap my head around the magnificence of possibilities because I know one thing, that I really don't know anything. I really don't know anything. I've just learned that love is the highest frequency and I follow that. And anything else that isn't that frequency, I get triggered. I can feel it and I stop. I've trained myself to go, okay, there's something that feels, my body just contracted. I just felt embarrassed or I felt fear about what am I going to say on the next live or will I be good enough or, all the programs that we run. But here's one of the things that's really important. There really aren't hundreds of programs. There's really only about 5. Fear, lack, doubt, am I good enough, worry, and that's really it. There aren't like thousands or even hundreds of them to figure out. They're all pretty small and they operate on that frequency, so they're great. So once you dive in and do this, you're like, oh. And if you can laugh, and I mean, wake up in the morning, every morning, and consciously create how your day's going to go and love on every cell of your body, oh my God, you become a magnet for synchronistic things that we're talking about. So what else? What else before we go? What like some of your main like aha moments? Or
I think the one that sticks with me the most is realizing that being imperfect is perfectly fine. And so you can admit your faults and your mistakes and have it not make you a bad person. And I think the majority of the people think that, and that's why we have skeletons in our closets, so to speak, because these are things that I did that I'm not proud of, that I know other people wouldn't be proud of. So I'm going to just hide them in a closet and hold them there. And coming out and talking about them and getting them out in the open, even if it's with yourself, like I did, is incredibly therapeutic because it's like they're out now and we can talk about it. And I had a conversation with myself about it and went through pretty much everything that was bugging me and realized that those mistakes that I made didn't make me a bad person. They just made me an imperfect person that made some bad choices as a kid or a young adult. I shouldn't say kid because I was an adult. And it was always something that I kind of shunned, that I denied, because if I admitted that, then God, I look like a bitch, really, or whatever you want to say, deceitful, or, I liked to get my way, and I would not be evil or bad about it, but I would be nefarious about it a little bit, And that was something I did as a young adult because I like to get what I want. And so that was something I kind of carried around with me until it like completely bit me in the butt. And coming to that realization that that was a part of me was really hard because you don't want to admit that that's something you carry around. That's not something you want to admit about yourself. But I have come to realize that it doesn't make you a bad person to admit your faults.
Thank you for
If,
bringing this up.
yeah,
Shame is such a low, toxic, vibrational, energetic wound. It's the worst. I've done some of the dumbest shit. I've said some of the dumbest stuff. I've done things I wish I would have never done. And I had to forgive that stuff. And I had to go through the process that you're talking about. And I invite everybody to do this because it's the way out. It's the doorway to your freedom. It's not the dark night of the soul. It's not going through hell. It is so freeing that you'll go, why wasn't I taught this in first or second grade? Why wasn't I taught how to process my emotions and catch my triggers? And that anything that I try and hide or reject or judge is just going to bring back more of that into my hologram to give me another opportunity to clean it up. But people aren't taught that, or they just go, oh shit, this thing's repeated 3 times. It's something to look at. I missed it. No big deal. You just missed it. It's a program. We're in a reality with all these dualities and things that are running. And, you know, in the current age that we came into, the Kali Yuga that we're now have moved out of, it was all set up to get us to be triggered and deceive. And, you know, 99% of everything we were taught was a lie. That's a huge aha freak out moment to finally realize that everything I was taught in school, everything in the media, everything was set up to lower my frequency. And then you get pissed off. And then after that, then you can start to do the work and go, okay, what's the way out? The way out is through my frequency of being in my heart and not allowing any of this external stuff to trigger me anymore. And seeing that every person is your teacher, every single person, not just the ones that you like. The people that are your greatest teachers are the ones that you still judge and the ones that trigger you. If you can get this aha moment, it'll start to clean up your whole life and your whole relationships so quickly. And I'm just so grateful for you coming on here and sharing what you went through, because you really are a rock star. And you're one of the people in the group that's consistently there, consistently shows up. And I'm just really, really grateful to you.
well,
And your teacher as well.
You know what I mean? I'm going to keep coming to something that's worked for me. And it did, it did way more than I ever imagined. I am a completely different person. You had mentioned that earlier. Like, I don't feel like the same person. I don't think the same way. I love differently. I love myself a lot more. And I realize that I can make mistakes and that I'm not perfect. And that doesn't mean that I, am a bad person for making those mistakes. It's just part of, I try my best to avoid the things that I was doing prior. I'm aware of them and no longer doing those things. And so of course I'm going to show up. It's been incredibly freeing, and I'm very grateful because it was baggage I was tired of carrying. I was done with it. I was desperate. I'm not trying to say like I was desperate, and
Suicidal. There
yeah.
were a few times in my life where I was like, my higher self knew I didn't come here to go through pain and hell my entire life. I just knew it. And since I couldn't see the program, I was like, if I don't figure this out, I'm leaving the planet. And that led me to search. And that's when I met that's when I met Miguel in 2001. Yeah. And then, you know, at the time I couldn't afford him. It was $333 a month to do the 3-day dreaming weekends that we did once a month. And I just went, and here's the beauty of what Miguel did. He said, if you want to be part of these dreaming weekends, you have to commit to 1 year at a time. And I was like, I'm living in my recording studio. I don't even know I don't know what my monthly income is going to be. How am I going to commit to $333? And he forced me to do it by stating that if you want to be part of this journey in this group and come work with me for 2.5 solid days every month, you will commit to 1 year. And guess what happened? As soon as I committed, the money showed up every single month. It's the power of our intention. So I want to thank you again so much. And again, I want to invite everybody, you know, if this stuff resonates with you, all I can tell you is this is the most powerful stuff. And it's the fastest fast track that I've ever found in my life. And I think everybody that's gone through the course would tell you the same thing. And so the book is called Waking Up in the Dream. It teaches you how to quickly heal, how to forgive, and how to really watch the programs. And there's nothing left out. It's a step-by-step process, and it works. And it covers every area of healing and manifestation and money. It just works. So the book is on sale through Sunday. I know some of you are saying, Jeff, that book's always on sale. It's on sale a lot. Why? Because I want people to have it. And so now you have the opportunity as of 2 weeks ago to be added to the group that everybody was paying for monthly to come in and be part of this group. And it's really, really powerful. So I intend that if this resonates with you, you'll go to the link posted there and go grab the book and come in and join people like Crystal and these other amazing people that are in the group. And you're in a safe environment, and there is no judgment. So I invite people. We've had a lot of people come in this week.
Yeah.
Yet a lot of people haven't started asking questions yet. So sometimes people lay back and they go, I'm just going to sit back and see what happens. I invite you to show up boldly, and go, what about this? What about that? I'm having issues. Because you won't be able to see some of the programs until you ask the questions. And when you ask the questions, that's when you have your breakthroughs, quickly. So thank you so much, dear one. I love you and I appreciate you. And thank you to everybody that has spent the time on this call with your attention and your comments. I haven't had time to get to the comments because I'm focused on this, but I do go back through them. And thank you to everybody that shares these talks and these lives for anybody that they think would benefit. My heart and my love and gratitude goes out to everybody. And if you'd like to talk to me about going on a journey, a 30-day journey or longer, send me a private message and I'll be happy to get on a short call with you and answer your questions. So thanks, Crystal. Much love to you. Have a great evening and I'll catch up to you soon in the group.
All right.
Bye, everybody. Thanks so much.